Hello and welcome to Angry Andy Reviews, and this is my review for The Last of Us, Episode 2. Now, I'm taking a break from building some goddamn IKEA furniture to record this, but my word, what another fantastic episode. We are really getting a full sense of what this world is, what this fungus is, how awful it is, and these wonderful characters. It's all coming together quite nicely. All my prior trepidations are gone at this point. I'm very excited to see what they do with the story that most of us know pretty well if we played the game, that is. What I find interesting is that this show is really accepting and gifting for newcomers, and we get that really with the prologue to this episode. Spoilers ahead. But the prologue for this is set in Jakarta in 2003, so we got a brief little snippet in the first episode, via a newsreel, something to do with Jakarta in Indonesia, and so it turns out this is where the outbreak happened. A unsuspecting doctor is taken away from her lovely-looking breakfast to go to a facility, and an army general, lieutenant, whatever he is, I'm not quite sure, he takes this doctor into this room where there is a bit of fungus on a slide, and she's asked to have a look at it, and she says, "Oh well, which animal did you take this from?" And they say, "Well, it's a fucking human." She goes into another room, and there is a dead human, a dead woman, on a table, and the doctor says, "Hey, look at her leg." She has a look at the leg, and there's this fucking fungus, and she has a deeper look inside the mouth, and this poor doctor absolutely shits herself immediately. She pulls out a bit of fungus, like tendrils from inside her mouth, and she immediately gets out of the room. Cut to another room where this doctor receives a cup of tea from this general geezer, and quite simply she asks questions like, where did this come from? Did another human bite her? And we learn that the initial outbreak itself came from some sort of grain farm, grain factory. And she probes further, asks, well, how many people are missing? And this general says, 14. And there's an immediate breakdown in her control. You see her physically shake and nearly drop a tea. And the general quite simply says, how do we stop this? What we need medicine, we need a vaccine. And she says, there is no medicine, there is no vaccine. The only thing I can tell you to do is bomb the place, bomb this city. And that's it. Can you take me home so I can be with my family? And it's incredibly impactful. Yet again, we have a very short, similar to the short set in the 70s with John Hannah at the start of the first episode, whereby we're given a real sense of the science, a real sense of the real world impact that we don't really get in the game. In the game, we get snippets of lore from newspaper clippings and whatever that are found dotted around as collectibles. You can't really do that in a TV show, but in this, we get cutbacks, flashbacks, if you like, to the time before the virus, before the fungus virus, or whatever you want to call it, really takes hold. So it's interesting in that regard. It's interesting for newcomers to the show, and for us that are in tune with the lore, to really get a deeper sense of the real world impact, seeing real people, people from prior to everything going to shit, dealing with it, and it's terrifying. It's a very terrifying, real, intense opening, pre-credits opening. The show moves on. And Ellie, Tess, and Joel are, moving through Boston. There's a wonderful little bit. Ellie wakes up, and both Joel and Tess are sat there staring at her, and they don't trust her. Quite simply, they don't trust her. They're terrified she's going to turn. She makes a little joke. Oh well, if I start twitching, and she does all this like sort of twitching and coughing and spluttering and everything. And Joel says, "Well, if you start twitching, I'm going to shoot you." There's wonderful little character moments coming through, especially with Bella Ramsey as as Ellie, really starting to get a sense of her as the character. She's got the mannerisms down to a T. She's bringing her own sort of inflections, her own sort of, playfulness to the role. And you see that no better than when they get into the museum. So they have to cut through a museum in order to get where they're going. It's all been destroyed on the inside, so they have to cut round, very video game styly. And when they get inside, there are clickers in there. We are introduced to the clickers in this second episode, and they're fucking terrifying. All the fungus coming out of their heads. It's brilliantly well done. It's very intense, and we see Ellie's fear in this. She's clearly not come across anything like this, and both Pedro Pascal and Anatole, who play Joel and Tess respectively, really sell this idea that even though they're experienced and resilient people that have been out and about and probably have seen these creatures before, even they struggle, even they are terrified by them. They managed to get through, they managed to defeat these two clickers, not without some element of struggle. And Ellie herself has been bitten yet again on the arm, so she shows like, look at this, look, I've been bitten again, can't believe it. And moving on from there, we do, prior to this, we do get a bit of a shot of like all these other creatures outside in the sun reacting. We are told that they're all connected by a network of this fungus, which burrows deep within the city, and it can go within up to a mile, and it connects all the infected together, which is an interesting divergence from the games, where spores seem to be the thing that created these creatures. It's more to do with like this mycelial sort of tendril thing that will cross over and intersect with the humans and the victims, as you were. It's more horrifying, I think, than just simply spores and breathing them in. I mean, the spores are a great video game mechanic because it goes on and it creates this tension. But for a show, I think these mycelial sort of tendril things are a good level of creepiness that adds a bit of weight and tension, and also prevents the actors from having to put bloody gas masks on all the time. We move on, and of course we are led to a point where Tess reveals that she has been injured. She has been bitten by one of these creatures, one of these clickers, and it's all going to shit. She makes a comparison between her bite and Ellie's bite and says, look, I'm pretty much done here, but look, this is real. Whatever they want from Ellie is real. You're going to have to go and you're going to have to take her to Joel. You're going to have to take her. You're going to have to do this. You're going to have to, save who you can save. Fantastic line. Great line. Love it. Immediately impactful. And even though we haven't really spent that much time with Tess, which is a bit of a downer for me. I thought we could have done with like another episode just to really get to grips with her character and what she's done in the past and how she becomes this person in the end. But nevertheless, she gets a brilliant send off, which again is a bit of a divergence from the video games. In the game, you were fighting off soldiers to get to this point, and the soldiers have killed the fireflies in this building where they get to, where they're supposed to do the handoff. But obviously it appears the infected are the ones that have killed the fireflies, and Joel kills one of the fireflies that is turning, and it wakes up this horde, just as we were alluded to earlier in the episode, and this horde comes charging. Tess makes the decision that she's going to stay and immediately, sacrifice herself to give them a chance to get away. Again, it's what's really great, I think, in this episode, despite the action that we're gifted, is these really good character moments. We see Pedro Pascal as Joel really struggling, with what he's going to do, and he makes a snap decision and leaves. He doesn't even say goodbye, which is, it's a compounding horror, really. He doesn't even get to, say goodbye in any way. There's no emotional, share. He can't hold her, he can't kiss her or anything like that. He has to leave. He just leaves straight away. And that lack of emotional sort of ending is further compounded when the infected break through, and they're still chasing Ellie and Joel, and Tess is there backing up against the wall trying to light her lighter, and you can tell that her mind has already been being corrupted, and she's unable to use her fingers, her hands, her faculties are just completely going. And one of these creatures just stops and walks over to her, and it's disturbing. It's probably one of the most disturbing things I've seen from this sort of kind of infected sort of genre. And this creature just openly kisses her, and you see the tendrils coming out of its mouth as it connects to her, and it further sort of enhances. This is how the fungus is spread. The tendrils connect, they move through, and create more infection. Obviously, this creature already knows that she's infected. Otherwise, they'd be attacking in some way, I would assume. But yeah, it's horrifying. It's a complete sort of. It's the other end of the spectrum. Joel wasn't able to say goodbye properly, but this creature comes up and shares the fungus, as it were. Horrifying. And it's very impactful. Again, like I said, it's a complete departure from the video game. In the video game, Tess sets fire and detonates this fucking building, to destroy the soldiers. Here, she does it, as she's being consumed by this fungal infection. It's grim. It's really quite grim. And yeah, she's gone. She's gone. Everything in this episode is dialed up yet again. They've really spared no expense, I think. Cinematography, set design, just the impact, the weight of everything feels, like it's a 10 out of 10, really has to be, because it's all crafted so well. There's not really one bit that I can sort of point to and say, well, that felt a bit off, that felt a bit weird. Yeah, the ending is different, the way Tess, it leaves the show is different to that of the game. There are other couple of moments here that they've taken the spores out completely in favour of these tendrils, but it works. There is nothing that feels less impactful or weaker as a result, and everything is spurred on, like I said, by the cinematography. It looks superb. We're getting shot for shot. From the video game, across the landscape, we're seeing a completely desolate city. It looks superb. It looks incredible. And then we're getting these incredibly strong characters and these interactions coming through. So, yeah, for me, I think this has got to be a 10 out of 10 episode, I think, because it's perfectly impactful of, the horror of the world, and the horror of what we're probably going to see coming soon. So yeah, for the moment, this is a 10 out of 10 episode, and I'm going to leave it there because I've waffled on quite a bit. I've got more furniture to build. So yeah, definitely 10 out of 10. Brilliant episode. Looking forward to what we see next. Looking forward to where we go next, and the creative decisions they make on regards to what we've already received in the video game. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you like this video, please do like and subscribe to the channel, and wish me well in my IKEA building furniture. God, it's awful. Thanks very much for watching. Bye bye.